Hi everyone, it's Saul. Wait, let me try that again. Hi everyone, it's Saul. One more time. Hi everyone, it's Saul, and today I'm going to be answering a very important question. Why don't you voice train? So I've been making videos for almost 2 years now, and it's not uncommon for people to ask questions about the sound of my voice. Here's an example of the kind of comment that I often receive. My dearest lady, might I be so bold as to inquire upon the timbre of your voice? From one so fair, it is most unusual to hear such a deep, gravelly, commanding voice, one that booms and echoes throughout my very soul. You have bewitched me, madam. Now pray tell, how did you do it? Well, actually, the comments are usually more like this. Damn, bro, why you sound like that? But it's a valid question. Maybe not always asked in the most polite manner, but some people are genuinely curious as to why a trans woman, such as myself, would choose not to voice train. After all, if I want to be a woman, then why am I not making more of an effort to sound like one? Well, first of all, I don't want to be a woman, I am a woman, and therefore logic dictates that I already do sound like one. I'm a woman, this is my voice, therefore this is a woman's voice, right? Now that might sound like a bit of a cop-out answer, so before I elaborate, let's take a little bit of a dive into what voice training actually is. Voice training is the process of changing the sound of your voice through repeated practice and vocal exercises. While it's commonly associated with the trans community, anybody can voice train. Actors do it to prepare for roles, public speakers do it to add depth and clarity to their voices, and people with speech impediments might use it as part of their speech therapy. When we talk about voice training with respect to trans people, we're usually referring to one of two specific cases: voice feminization and voice masculinization. Because voices are often seen as gendered in today's society, with deeper, rougher voices associated with masculinity and higher, softer voices associated with femininity, many trans people will elect to train their voices to align with their affirmed gender. This can be a long and taxing process, particularly in the case of voice feminization, because testosterone causes the vocal cords to loosen and the voice to deepen. An irreversible process without surgical intervention. This is also why trans men will find that their voices deepen when taking HRT, but trans women won't notice the pitch of their voice increasing. Now, I don't have a problem with trans people wanting to voice train. Of course I don't. Like any part of transition, if it's something that is necessary for you personally, go for it. There's also a lot to be said about voice training and, more generally, the idea of passing as a whole for safety reasons, with the voice often being considered a giveaway. The problem I have is the implication that me being a woman is somehow dependent on whether or not I sound like one. As is often the case with other aspects of transition, there's this very persistent idea that voice training is a necessary step you must take. But of course, as our understanding of gender evolves over time, it becomes increasingly clear that conformity for the sake of conformity only contributes to a stereotypical view of how men and women are supposed to look, sound, and act. I personally feel that if you choose to voice train, as with any other steps you may take in your transition, you should do so because you actually want or need to do it. If you want to sound more feminine, great. If you want to sound more masculine, great. But please don't feel pressured to take steps that aren't necessary just because some people might feed you a load of backwards nonsense about gender conformity. If you are a trans woman, you have a woman's voice, whether it's masculine or feminine. If you are a trans man, you have a man's voice, whether it's masculine or feminine. And of course, if you're non-binary, your voice is fine too. No matter how you look, sound, or act, there will always be somebody trying to invalidate your affirmed gender, whether that be the sound of your voice or any other aspect of your appearance. In short, you can't please everybody, so please yourself. Thank you.